For more writing, tips and tricks, check out my channel. Here are 12 horror movie ideas to draw and some prompts to get you started. In the middle of nowhere, a young woman named Samara gets a phone call. The caller ID reads unknown. Samara doesn't pick up. Then another call comes in. And again, the caller ID reads unknown. Samara picks up the phone and says hello. There's silence. Then a raspy voice whispers, "Samara, you have 7 minutes left to live." Seconds later, a tire blows out and the car crashes. Samara struggles to free herself from her seatbelt. Her breath becomes shallow as she slowly realizes the windows are jammed. Blood trickles down her face as she remembers the phone call. With less than a minute remaining, she manages to escape the wreckage, just as the car bursts into flames. Then the ground beneath her crumbles and swallows her whole. A sinister grin appears on the face of the unknown caller. What if Cinderella's evil stepsisters didn't merely attend the royal ball out of vain curiosity, but actually plotted to harm her? Maybe they laced her dress with a sleeping draught so she would unmake a grand entrance, or maybe they planned to cut off her foot so her shoe could fit theirs. Regardless, a terrifying new version of the classic fairy tale could see the stepsisters orchestrating a brutal murder. As guests arrive at the palace, they notice Cinderella looking pale and ill, propped up by the prince, who seems enamored with her despite her appearance. Soon enough, the prince proposes a toast to Cinderella, celebrating her beauty. But as soon as he does, she collapses right in front of him, dead. In the ensuing chaos, the stepsisters flee, leaving behind one of their custom-made glass slippers. The prince scoops it up, unaware that he's cradling a symbol of his doom. What if the most dangerous enemy in the world wasn't visible to us? Maybe we share our world with creatures who can't be detected by any conventional means. Perhaps we come into contact with them every day, unaware that they're watching us. Imagine a woman who feels inexplicably compelled to move to a remote village, only to discover that everyone there seems deeply disturbed. She pushes forward, seeking to make friends. But whenever someone accepts her invitation, they become distant, cold, and calculating. Their smiles don't reach their eyes, which gleam with malevolent intent. Our protagonist suspects these villagers are hiding something. And as she digs deeper, she realizes that they've been patiently waiting for her arrival. When she asked to join them, they thought she looked familiar, but couldn't quite place it. They knew she had to die, but not yet. Now they must keep her close until the time is right. They won't do anything to attract attention. They'll simply wait. And when the moment comes, they'll strike. And their enemy, they haven't seen her yet, but when they do, they'll recognize her instantly as the one who led humanity astray millennia ago. For these creatures have lived for far longer than our species. They've witnessed our rise and fall. And when the time is right, they will return to power once more. Maybe the spirits of those who passed away didn't move on. Maybe they linger in our world, waiting for a chance to cross over. Imagine a haunted house where the ghosts don't shake pictures off the wall or rattle chains. Instead, they take a more insidious approach. They hide in plain sight, manipulating reality to torment their living counterparts. One by one, the ghosts claim their revenge, pushing their surviving relatives to the brink of insanity. The bodies of two lovers are discovered in a remote forest. The cause of death, a single gunshot wound to the head. Police suspect murder-suicide, but something doesn't add up. The gun in question is a historic artifact and a replica of a Civil War-era pistol. Somehow, it managed to fire a bullet without being cocked. As the investigation continues, evidence mounts that points to a darker conclusion. Both victims were shot while their brains were turned to mush, suggesting an occult ritual of some kind. A mysterious third party was involved. But who could have committed such an atrocity, and why? Maybe technology isn't always what it seems. Maybe it holds secrets that we aren't meant to discover. Imagine a man who inherits his late grandfather's antique gramophone. Excited to test out the relic, he plays one of the old records, only to hear the faint sound of his own name being called. Intrigued, he plays the record again, and this time, he hears his grandfather's voice, warning him to stop listening. Ignoring the warning, he plays the record a third time, and this time, he hears a demonic growl. Suddenly, the room grows colder, and whatever lurked beyond the veil of reality begins to emerge. The man scrambles to remove the record, but it's too late. The door bursts open, and he finds himself face to face with an other-dimensional horror. But what about aliens? What if extraterrestrials visited our world in the distant past and experimented on primitive humans? Maybe they implanted devices within us that allowed them to control our thoughts and manipulate our actions. Imagine a scientist who uncovers evidence of alien intervention during a dig in Egypt. At first, people dismiss his claims as the ravings of a madman. But as he digs deeper, he finds more and more evidence that points to a horrifying truth. Ancient Egyptians were more advanced than we ever imagined. They possessed technology thousands of years ahead of its time, and they used it to worship strange gods from afar. Unfortunately, many of these relics are lost to time, but there are still a few scattered around the world. And if our scientist can find them, he might just expose the hidden history of our world and the sinister secrets of alien intervention. Now let's explore the idea of cosmic dread. What if the vastness of space terrified us because we weren't meant to understand it? Maybe the true nature of the universe is too much for our fragile minds to comprehend. Imagine a lone astronomer who makes a startling discovery. While observing a distant galaxy, he sees something that shouldn't exist. Something that defies the laws of physics and reason. But the more he studies it, the more he realizes that he's uncovering a terrifying truth. The galaxy he's observing is a prison, and what he's seeing are the remains of its shattered bars. Within that galaxy lies a creature whose very existence threatens the stability of the cosmos. And as he watches helplessly, the creature begins to stir, its consciousness slowly awakening. The astronomer knows that if it breaks free, nothing will stand in its way. The only hope lies in keeping it trapped forever. But how can he do that when he doesn't even understand the nature of the beast? What if the creatures that haunted our dreams were more than just figments of our imagination? Maybe they're harbingers of our doom, sent to warn us of our inevitable fate. Imagine a woman who suffers from recurring nightmares of a sinister entity lurking in the shadows. She tells her loved ones about her dreams, but they brush them off as anxiety-induced hallucinations. But when the entity from her dreams begins to appear in real life, it's too late. The damage has already been done. The monster from her nightmare has entered her reality, and it's hungry for her soul. As I conclude, I encourage you to embrace the unknown and confront your fears head-on. Let your imagination run wild and create stories that push the boundaries of human experience. Who knows? You might just uncover the next great horror masterpiece. That's all for now. But please feel free to leave your comments and feedback below. And if you want to continue exploring the world of horror, I highly recommend checking out my other content. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the dark side of storytelling. Until next time, stay safe, stay creative, and never stop dreaming.